This scenario presents key ideas on conflict as presented in Chapter 8 of Effective Multicultural Teams by John Ungerleider. The following scenario involves a relationship-based conflict as opposed to a task-oriented one.
4 white teenage females are on a 6-week study abroad trip together to an undisclosed location. It's the 3rd week of the trip, and while they should be in the norming stage of development, they're stuck in storming because of an unresolved conflict surrounding one member of the group. The team members are Laura, a Belgravian, Rachel, a Wisconsinite, Jordan, a Southerner, and Hayley, a New Englander. In the following activity, each group member shares their version of the conflict. We're practicing preventing escalation by sharing openly about our perspectives, outwardly analyzing our own conflict styles, and thus improving interpretability of our speech and actions. Rachel, Jordan, and Hayley are having trouble with some of the cultural norms of their Belgravian teammate. Laura is constantly late, refuses or refrains from taking a leadership role, and never makes eye contact. She wears sunglasses almost constantly.
Laura seems like she's nice, and maybe I just don't know her very well, but I'm starting to feel upset by her lack of eye contact and timeliness. Anytime I bump right into her because she's so quiet when we're making decisions, I say, "Oh, sorry, dear," and she won't even look at me. And on top of that, she's just so often so late, I end up feeling stressed. To me, making eye contact and being friendly are very important, and timeliness is just common courtesy. Maybe Laura just isn't really interested in being close or friendly with the rest of us. Of course, I don't want to say anything to her because that would just be so rude to point any of that out.
I feel like I pretty much get along with everyone. I'm a little confused by Laura. Bless her heart, she never takes off those sunglasses. I wonder how anyone knows what anyone looks like in Belgravia. I feel like I've been telling her this all along because I keep asking if I can see how she does her eye makeup. I just feel like I would know she's listening to me if I could see her eyes. Lord help her, she just can't get to the meeting on time either. Where are her manners, poor dear?
Hayley is a low-context New Englander who is used to confronting conflict head-on and is easily frustrated if someone seems to beat around the bush or doesn't make their point quickly. So, I know Belgravians are different and all, but I just couldn't connect with Laura. She seemed so disinterested in what was going on and constantly waltzed in late to meals and events, as if our job is to wait for her to get started. And when I asked her what was up, all she gave me were these weird non-answers that didn't get to the point. This is just wicked confusing. It seems like Laura doesn't want to be part of our group. That girl needs to ditch the sunglasses and tell us what's really going on.
Hi, I'm Laura, and I'm from Belgravia. I'm so excited to be on this study abroad trip. But I get the feeling that something is a little off here. Like maybe they're talking about me or don't like me. I don't know what I did to make them mad. My country is so different from everyone else's. We're so relaxed there. My friends and I decide to get together and we all just meet up whenever. It's so funny, we don't wear watches much, so we just say, "I'll meet you when the sun is hitting the far end of the mountain," or something like that. Also, when a clock chimes in Belgravia, it means someone has passed away, so we don't use chimes or alarm clocks much. We all decide together what to do then. We don't have one person who tells everyone else what to do because that would be rude. No one would want to be around that selfish, thoughtless person. I'm honestly a little nervous about this trip. You see, we know a few things in Belgravia that people don't know in other places. For example, if someone stares at you in the eyes, they could be trying to steal your spirit. It can make you and your entire family sick. I've seen it happen. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep my sunglasses on because I don't want to have to explain it. They might think I'm weird. You know, I think that I should just go ahead and tell them all of this because this just feels too weird.
Uff-duh. I feel terrible for not understanding where Laura was coming from. I didn't even think that her not making eye contact or any of it could be from her culture, and instead I assumed that it was all personal. Now I know that if I were in her shoes, I'd probably wear sunglasses too. I hope we can become friends now.
Well, I didn't know the clock chiming meant something different in Belgravia. Why didn't anyone say so? I guess it just goes to show you can't judge someone in the same way you judge yourself if the other someone just ain't from the same place. Also, no wonder she doesn't want to take those sunglasses off. What a sweetheart to keep those on for us.
Now I understand Laura was telling us her feelings, but she was just doing it in her own way. I wasn't used to her communication style, but once I figured out what to listen for, we were okay. It turns out, people where I'm from can be pretty blunt, and Laura thought I was being rude. I guess you can't do that where Laura's from because others will think it's not being respectful.
As a Midwesterner, my character is very high context and values relationships, is disinclined to overtly confront conflict, and tend towards what Thomas defines as accommodating in a conflict situation. As the conflict with Laura is personal and not task-based, I am even more inclined to accommodate her behaviors. My concern for maintaining a good relationship is what is most important to me, and to preserve that relationship, I give up my own needs and accommodate the behaviors and culture of the person I am in conflict with. With Laura, I am refusing to bring up points that are negatively affecting our relationship because I do not want to hurt her feelings and find that kind of confrontation to be interpersonally rude. Because of that, I end up resenting Laura for what I perceive to be her poor eye contact and lack of timeliness. After Laura explains her culture and further explains her own feelings in ways that we can understand, I am then able to move forward in a positive way with my personal relationship with Laura. For all of us, Laura serves as a peace builder by sharing necessary information with the team that allows us to build trust personally and heal the team dynamics surrounding our disdain for some of Laura's cultural characteristics. In our text, the Greek phrase siga siga is used to signify the slow nature of peace building. In our skit, we show an immediate solving of our conflict. In reality, that conversation may happen, but my character still may struggle to understand that Laura's lack of eye contact is cultural and actually respectful, not personal and disrespectful as I initially thought. However, over time, Laura's direct and almost interventative confrontation of our conflict has strengthened our team. Without the conflict at all, we would never have talked so openly or honestly about our cultures, ultimately strengthening our team more than ever.
As a Southerner, I come from a culture that's fairly diffuse and high context in many ways, especially communication style and the emphasis on relationships. In the national context, we still prefer to be on time. However, we tend to take our time. Not everything is necessarily scheduled. I think in this example, Laura and I are both diffuse in our communication styles. However, the cultural linguistics and usage of phrasings and different words may confuse the implicit meaning. In other words, Southerners can be fairly indirect while also being very frank. We add words and phrases that soften our meaning, but to someone unfamiliar with this, the meaning may be lost, even if they're fairly indirect themselves. The style of building relationships may also be very different, even if both cultures place an emphasis on relationship building. For example, I felt a stronger connection with her when I found out that she was just trying to be polite the whole time. By opening a dialogue on our group experiences, as well as opening the floor to discuss potential conflict, our group practiced negotiating meaning from the communication and cultural styles that everyone brought to the group. In my case, as well as Laura's, we had to clarify some of our cross-cultural noise, meaning the verbal and nonverbal messages that cannot be clearly understood across cultures. We also used dialogue and, in a sense, a type of testimonial storytelling to help build empathy and promote compassion towards our fellow group members.
My character is a low-context New Englander who's used to speaking her mind anytime, anywhere. My cultural style of addressing conflict is to be open and direct. I'm an example of competition in that I was more concerned with my needs than Laura's in our scenario. Ungerleider notes that competition may resolve a conflict quickly, but may sacrifice friendships. My response to Laura would have been more constructive if I had remembered that what is said may not be what is heard. I thought I was just explaining my feelings, but Laura heard accusation and unfriendliness. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to communicate my problem to Laura in an appropriate way. Laura went beyond her norm and spoke directly about what caused our conflict. That's what enabled me to understand what was going on. My character needs to work on her communication skills for conflict transformation in order to handle the next conflict constructively. I need to be a good active listener. Active listening means that I will remain open and neutral, ask clarifying questions, and repeat back to the speaker to make sure I understood. Ungerleider points out that often we don't communicate, we compete. We don't really listen, but rather prepare our next rebuttal point for debate. If my character can build on this experience by considering other cultures' way of communicating and practice active listening in groups, it will go a long way towards handling conflict better in the future.
I am really happy right now because I got to learn how to act as a peace builder. This is something new for me. As a Belgravian, my culture is high context also. Because of this, when people address me directly, it feels rude. I'm learning, though, that storming is an essential part of group development process if we want to function well. I explained to the other girls how my culture works, and they were very understanding. They explained to me how their cultures work, and I feel like I've come to understand the differences much better. I also see that when Hayley brought up the conflict, though it scared me at first, it's better because now we all understand each other better and know how to work together. My society is collectivist, so we see conflict as something that could potentially tear us apart. As they say in principled negotiation, we must be hard on the problem, not the people. I've also learned that conflict can be constructive as opposed to destructive. This wasn't a destructive conflict because everyone on the team really wants the best, and we are in a better position than we were before we addressed it. I'm so glad we got all of this cleared up. I had no idea that people thought I was insulting them by not looking at them, but they were so kind when I told them. I think this is a good group of people and is feeling safer. I might even be able to take off my sunglasses sometimes now. The other girls said that when I lead, I can ask their opinions first, so I know that the whole group agrees and I'm not stepping on anyone's toes or dominating. I feel better about that. They pointed out that we can fit more stuff in if we're on time, but in the evenings we've decided to just have a really relaxed schedule. I think it's a good compromise, or actually a collaboration, since everyone's needs are getting met. You could say we used an integrative bargaining model to come to that win-win agreement. I'm relieved and happy, and I have 3 new friends. I can't wait to have them come visit me in Belgravia.